In this video, we're going to talk about the empirical rule, which has to do with the normal curve. So we'll get back to these numbers in a little bit. The problem I'm going to look at is right here on page 784 of your book, problem number 41 in section 9.8. So it talks about in SAT scores in 1995. So some numbers you need to know about is the mean. So mean score of 500, so that's average score. Then approximate standard deviation of 100. Now it says that the general population has a normal distribution. So we're going to look at, okay, what does that mean, a normal distribution? Okay, and how does that tie in with this empirical rule, and how do we use that to solve the problem? Now this is a different book. Hopefully you can see this okay, but this is a good diagram, and it's a diagram that you can find online. You just Google bell-shaped distribution, empirical rule. You can find a diagram with all these numbers in, but that's a normal distribution, what it looks like. It's a bell-shaped curve. Okay, so right here in the middle, that would be the average. And then what it's showing here is plus S is plus 1 standard deviation, plus 2, plus 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. And you can see that it's saying, okay, 68% of the data, if something is normally distributed, will fall within between 1 and 2 standard deviations, 95 within plus or minus 2, and then the 99.7 within plus or minus 3. And then this is breaking things up more. 34 equals 68, the 13.5 and 13.5 plus the 34s is 95, etc. So I'm going to use this idea with the problem to help solve it. Okay, so I've started to draw things out here. Here's your mean, and then I went plus 100, plus 100, plus 100, and then minus 100, minus 100, minus 100, because in the 100 is saying the standard deviation, okay, which they use this, is equal to 100. Okay, so what they do then is you try to draw a curve. I'll try to draw a curve. And while holding the phone and the paper. Okay, so in the book it says this. It says approximately what percent of the 1995 scores fell between 400 and 600. Well, here's 400 and here's 600. So between here and here would be 68%. Okay, so that's it there. That's your answer. Okay, so, and then the next part says approximately what percentage of the 1995 scores fell below 300. So now we're over here and we're looking at, how much fell below that right there. Well, that might be a little trickier. You'd have to go back to, the numbers and that they had, and right, this was like 13.5 here, and then it was, after that, this part was 2.35, and this part was 0.15. Okay, so it's probably going to be hard for you to remember those things without looking back at a diagram for those things. But what you would do is just add these two numbers up, and when you do that, sometimes the way they write it is this: the probability that the score would be less than or equal to 300 would be equal to 2.5%. So it's a matter of knowing what these numbers are and knowing how to add them together so that you come up with your answers. The problem you're going to be doing, okay, is going to be that number 42 with the ACT scores. So they give you your mean and they give you your standard deviation, okay? So then what you do is you just set up, there's your mean, then you go +1, +2, +3, -1, -2, -3 standard deviations, and then just figure out what percentages you need to add together to get your answers.